Good afternoon. Kingdom of Jesus Christ leader Pastor Apollo Quiboloy is now facing a non-bailable trafficking charge on top of sexual abuse and child abuse cases. Department of Justice spokesperson Miko Clavano confirms that the qualified human trafficking case against Quiboloy was filed on Monday, March 18, before a Pasig City Court. No bail is recommended for his temporary liberty. According to Clavano, the case for violation of Republic Act 7610 or the Anti-Child Abuse Law was filed before the Davao court last week. For the child abuse case in Davao, prosecutors recommend a bail of 180,000 pesos for sexual assault and 80,000 for maltreatment. Aside from Quiboloy, Jacqueline W. Roy, Crescente Canada, Pauline Canada, Ingrid C. Canada, and Sylvia Camanes are also named in the charge sheet for both cases. The cases were filed in court after the DOJ granted a petition for review seeking a reversal of the dismissal of cases against Quiboloy. The complainant was a former member of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ who claimed that she was sexually abused in 2014 when she was 17 years old. Quiboloy has denied allegations of rape and other illegal activities. The DOJ will eventually seek a transfer of the Davao case to Manila to avoid possible threats and intimidation in Davao. Vice President Sara Duterte believes now is the time to focus on addressing the country's problems amid issues surrounding her and her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte. Some lawmakers have criticized the Vice President for attending on March 12 a prayer rally, which lawmakers have deemed as anti-administration. During the same prayer rally, former President Duterte had accused President Bongbong Marcos of aiming for term extension through charter change. Former President Duterte and President Marcos have also earlier traded barbs over alleged illegal drug use. In a video message on Tuesday, March 19, the Vice President says it is the time to focus on addressing the country's problem instead.
Both leaders are also gifted with the wisdom to know that I am not a problem and I do not need to be solved. Rather, this is the time to focus on the work that needs to be done for the country. Halimbawa nito ay ang kalidad ng edukasyon, ang patuloy na pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin kasama na ng pagkain, at ang isyu ng terorismo, kriminalidad, kawalan ng katiyakan ng ating seguridad at kapayapaan.
Vice President Duterte adds that she has not discussed national issues with Marcos, nor has she discussed politics with her father, former President Duterte. According to the Vice President, Marcos and her father have separately expressed their concern for her well-being, but she says she gave assurance she would take care of herself as she carries out her duties as Vice President and Education Secretary.
Politics is a matter that I have not discussed with former President Rodrigo Duterte, nor have I discussed my positions on national issues with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. On separate occasions, the President and the former President similarly expressed concerns over my well-being. I assured them that I would take care of myself as I carry out my duties and responsibilities as Vice President and the Secretary of the Department of Education.
The Chinese embassy in the Philippines is blaming the United States anew for allegedly provoking the recent tense situation in the South China Sea. In a statement, the Chinese embassy claims Beijing is not responsible for the recent situation in the disputed waters. The statement is in response to U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's assertion that the U.S. and the Philippines share concerns about China's actions in the disputed waters, which violate international law and Filipino rights. But the Chinese embassy rejects Blinken's remarks, calling it groundless accusations. It adds that Blinken's statements are what the Chinese embassy calls a thinly veiled threat to invoke the Mutual Defense Treaty. The defense pact between the U.S. and the Philippines stipulates that both countries would act if an armed attack occurred or either party in the Pacific area, including the South China Sea. The Chinese embassy also urges the U.S. not to instigate trouble in the South China Sea or take sides in the issue. China has long since claimed that it had historical rights over the waters and islands in the South China Sea, some of which falls within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. China's sweeping claims have been invalidated by the 2016 Arbitral Award and the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas, which Beijing continues to refute. Here's the latest roundup of today's top stories. Pastor Apollo Quiboloy now facing non-bailable trafficking charge on top of sexual abuse and child abuse cases. Chinese embassy in the Philippines blames US anew for South China Sea tension. And outcry over brutal killing of dog in Camarines Sur sparks call for accountability. These are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good afternoon.